you all know, has Matthew as a Category 4 at the 8 o'clock or the 8 o'clock update. We were wondering if it was going to become a Category 4. Looking at the pressures, it dropped 5 more millibars than did from the 5 a.m. update, and we were wondering if it would have been a 4 then. It looked like at the time it was in between, and it looked like finally gone to a Category 4. And thankfully will not strengthen further to where it could get to a Category 5. But nevertheless, for the next 24 hours, it will stay a very dangerous Category 4 storm. And then finally, something we had that developed yesterday, if you didn't notice, is Nicole out just south of Bermuda. And as we'll see, just like Matthew, will just continue to spin out in circles out in the Atlantic. Going out, we'll take a look at the latest going out for here for the next several hours. It looks like all the wet weather will stay away from us, so the Cleveland-Boston game that's going to happen later this evening should be dry. No big issues going on for postseason baseball there. And if you were to go further and take a look at the latest NAM, the big question is going forward is that I know on Tuesday the 0-0 runs both had Matthew trying to come up the coast, which would have left us here Saturday in the subsidence zone, would have left us dry, whatnot. But now, since Matthew is going to miss the trough, is going to miss any of the connections, that means the front that was going to be stalled now gets to come through here, and we get to finally say, will we actually get to see some rain? On a side note, for those who've been tracking rainfall across here, up until the end of last week, we were running about a 2-inch deficit for the month. It was within 2 days that we made roughly up to 2 inches, 1.5 inches to 2 inches, which made September around normal. So even though if we take a look at the month as a whole and say it was around normal, much of the month was a very dry month. This front, and the reason why I bring up this front that's going to be coming through Saturday plays a pivotal role, because once that moves through, at least for the next 7 days, there's going to be once again no precipitation around. It's going to be dry. So we're continuing the seesaw effect where we have long dry periods and we get some rain, long dry periods. But as we go into Saturday, let's say Friday afternoon, continuing, looks like some clouds start to develop, and that front finally comes to the east. It looks like we'll start to see some rain early Saturday morning. Looks like around before dawn. But the real question is, will it be out before the game? I know on the 0-0, it wants to hang the front up across central Pennsylvania. It looked like they wanted to play some pivotal role with Matthew. The front saw Matthew and said, we need to stop, while the GFS actually pushed the front through here. My gut feeling is that the front will actually make it through, and the game will actually be mainly dry compared to what the European wants to do of bringing lingering showers throughout the whole day. So I won't be shocked to actually see some sunny breaks at least in the second half of the game. The first half could still be mostly cloudy. So if you're going to the game, have your sunglasses, have a hat ready, and whatnot. The rain should be hopefully out of the area. The big picture of what's going to be playing a key role with Matthew going forward is the 2 major high pressure systems that are essentially dominating from Europe all the way up to the east, to the eastern United States. Right now, you currently have a 1040. It's wavering between 1044, 1048 high pressure over northern Scandinavia. That's actually leading to essentially an omega block across Europe, leading to very early season snowfall across the Carpathian Mountains in Slovakia and Czech Republic and Poland. And it's leading to a very dry period in the UK where they're seeing easterly winds. That's not changing. I looked earlier today. That's not changing over the next 7 days. That area of high pressure is dominating. That's something for Europeans who want to see snow. That's what they want to see in the winter months. But with that staying there, anything is having trouble penetrating Europe right now. And so you have low pressure that is currently southwest of Iceland, southeast of Greenland, that's kind of just spinning out there and is really not going anywhere. Then you throw into the fact that you have, I looked for tomorrow, the high pressure that's over Nova Scotia, Greenland is about going to be 1024, between 1024, 1032. That thing isn't really going to be moving. So there's really nothing moving as this trough that's swinging in through the Rockies is coming in. So Matthew gets to miss the connection that on Tuesday, all the morning runs were saying that there's going to be connections. Almost like a winter storm scenario with you trying to have a southern branch system merged with a northern branch system, and it's all about timing with that. So we'll check out the 12Z GFS at least, see what all the major players are going on. So here's the trough in the Rockies. You have Matthew down in the Bahamas coming up the Florida coast. As we continue to go forward, we'll take a look at closer of Kyle itself, but Matthew itself. But as you see, the trough doesn't go as far south. Matthew tries to come up the southeast coast, but the trough kind of flattens out as it heads up into Quebec and Ontario, and then it goes in and it completely misses. And then we have the spinning effect. Matthew loops around, wants to try to go back through the Bahamas, and the GFS for the second straight run now, or at least 0Z run had it, tries to now go back over South Miami and head towards the Yucatan. We'll take a look at what the other model guidance is showing in terms of track whatnot, but I can guarantee the GFS is the outlier there. But it looks like sometime tomorrow that Matthew will be making landfall somewhere along the central eastern Florida coast, potentially around Cape Canaveral. So here's just satellite view. This is also showing kind of satellite version of precipitation, kind of rainfall estimates, kind of gives us an idea of where there's precipitation within the clouds. And you have Nicole out in the south of Bermuda, and then you have, of course, Matthew going through the Bahamas right now, and all in its intensity, tracking towards the eastern Florida coast. The guidance going forward, this is, if you have not seen this, this is something coworkers at work, Jason Nichols, he looked at the whole world for agricultural purposes, found this, and it's looks like it's the Ruck out of NOAA we're able to plot all the ensembles that are out there, or any tracks. You have a plethora of information. If you scroll the way down, I have the compare forecasts on. And so that means I can now compare all the operational forecasts, all the experimental forecasts, and all the ensemble forecasts, and make this very messy spaghetti plot of all the tracks. It looks even messier because it now also has Nicole to deal with. But everything, and I do have, because the 12Z have just started to come in, I only am working with the 0Z runs here, but we do have the Canadian, the UK Met, and any of the GFDL or GFS ensembles. Earlier in the process, the Europeans were coming in, but for whatever reason, they've lost that data to get in. But essentially, most of the model or the ensembles are showing the loop-de-loop or the hook back out to sea towards Bermuda. Some of the Canadian ensembles, one is still holding on to that up the coast track, so it looks like some Canadian ensembles still are showing a connection with the trough. But nevertheless, the forecast going forward is that it will, going back to the National Hurricane Center and seeing their track, it will hook and kind of make a loop back towards Bermuda over the course of the next several days. The big thing as it tracks up and it skirts across the eastern coast of Florida and the southeast is the wind along the at least Category 2 winds across the eastern Florida coast. You're going to have the rainfall, but also the storm surge, especially at the high tides. That's probably going to be the bigger factor, the bigger mess that's going on. Something that we're still, as a entity or as the enterprise is still trying to not come to terms with, but still trying to work out, is storm surge and all that goes with it. I believe we got emailed out. There's a program, the USGS is sending out over 200 things, between 200 300 sensors that will be reporting during Matthew as it comes up. So we're able to see real-time data of the storm surge along the coast to see in real time how that storm surge is going, how high, and be able to hopefully tell how far it's going to go inland. Storm surge, and I can actually show, this here is a site called Magic Seaweed. There's a lot of, if you're looking into surfing forecasts, if you have to do any surfing forecasts for swells and whatnot, they have the, I'm not sure where they get their model data from, but they have their own model that you can, every basin, you could go to the Mediterranean, you could go out to the West Pacific, Indian Ocean. Here I have it focused in on for Matthew, and as we go forward, as it tracks across the Bahamas into tonight and along the coast of Florida, that's getting down into at least 28 to 30 feet waves or swells out there. I do know the wave watch as of yesterday and even the day before was showing, if we were to go further out, even higher waves off the Georgia and South Carolina coast, 30 to 40 feet. Of course, that was yesterday and Tuesday, but nevertheless, is that this storm is going to create very significant waves. So if there's a ranking of threats, is that very high waves are going to be crashing into eastern Florida. It's going to flood very easily. And of course, ironically, we have the GOES satellite out on Cape Canaveral ready to get launched early next month. It'd be very ironic, as some said at work, that if this thing gets delayed further because a hurricane impacts it and damages it or whatnot, adding more delays to it. Another site that came across, I forget that I've been using this for several weeks now. It's Venture Sky. And you could use different, looks like the GFS or whatnot. A very cool interactive site to where you can actually see the wind speed. I have wind speed gusts up for tomorrow at 11 a.m., but you could do temperature, precip, and it's just not even surface. You could even take a look at 2 meters, and you could go to different levels of the atmosphere. It's very interactive, very easy to get distracted website. But if I back up, let's even go to 8 a.m., we're able to see where the true, at least gives us an idea of where the strongest winds are going to be, and it is truly going to be across eastern Florida coast. There is still probably some debate, is Matthew going to make landfall? If it is, it's going to probably be around Cape Canaveral. As my coworker Mike Dahl, who joins me here today, said earlier, the 0Z European initialized way too far west and has a landfall that is further to the south, has like another jog, and then it makes landfall. And it is probably, because it's initialized further west, it's not going to, it's already off track. So if there is going to be landfall, it is probably going to be further up the coast, somewhere between Cape Canaveral and even probably the furthest north is probably Daytona Beach or something. But this is still a cool site to see where the strongest winds are going to be and how far west those even tropical storm force winds are going to go. And I haven't perused Twitter within the last few hours or seen on ESPN, but I do know that Florida Gator football, they were waiting essentially till 9 minutes from now to make a decision on their game if they're going to postpone or cancel. I do know Central Florida, Miami have already, I believe, postponed or even canceled their games going forward for this weekend, just due to everything that is going on. Any questions? Well, thank you guys very much for having me.
What does the impacts look like in along the low country in Georgia and South Carolina?
Georgia, it's impacts there is you're going to start to get rains now to wrap around, so you're going to get the true deluge of rain. Plus, you're going to now throw in the coastal flooding. It necessarily might not be the wind that's going to do the much damage. It's probably going to be once again flooding that's going to do the most damage.
I looked in the storm surge model forecast. It seemed to have unusually, maybe not unusual, but just very high values of inundation along the Georgia coast, which I'm not that familiar with because I don't hurricanes don't usually hit there. But is that I guess there's a lot of estuaries and funneling water.
Well, we can, as one of our coworkers loves to do at work, we can go visit Google Maps and we can quickly see how the area is, how the terrain is down there and whatnot. But yeah, you see a lot of, looks like marshy stuff across.
And actually, if you go south toward Jacksonville, can't remember the name of the river.
Certain areas.
That, yeah, go further south toward Jacksonville.
St. John?
Yeah, that's it. You're probably going to get a storm surge that goes upstream.
That's tidal for like 100 miles upstream.
Yeah, all the way to like Palatka.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could get storm surge to Palatka, but beyond. So I've seen tides of a foot or two routinely 20 miles upstream of Palatka in normal weather, so they could surge Palatka.
Any other questions? Well, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you very much, Todd.